Hi everyone, welcome to Bad Deli. I'm Chris King.
Alexander Boyd.
Today we're having a game rundown. Pretty much the biggest news stories of, we're already midway through January. We have a few days left and stuff. Right around the corner of Dying Light being released and stuff. So right before that we have some pretty good news to talk about. So we're going to jump right ahead. We have, like I said, several topics, pretty big ones as well. So we're going to go right ahead starting with the first one, Watch Dogs. Specifically, Watch Dogs 2. Now the developers of Watch Dogs, obviously Ubisoft, that's their housing team right there. One of the main developers, I believe, is the director or creative director. He admits the first game wasn't perfect in any way, this is a quote, but the sequel will take risks.
Yes.
Now, they know that Watch Dogs critically wasn't really received that well, at least maybe what they were assuming. But financially, it did amazing. It was the best-selling new IP for any in history. And that record was, as we expected, broken by Destiny.
Yeah.
So it still was an immensely financial success as far as new IP goes. So Watch Dogs 2, when needs to happen?
Okay, well, I was really hyped for Watch Dogs when I saw the first trailer. I was just, it was in my ballpark. Like, I was just like, this is a weird, strange, futuristic type of strangely cyberpunk thing. You know, it's the near future. And I thought it was just amazing. The posters and all the ads, the tagline was, "This is your weapon." You know, it's just what was it? Your device was your weapon. I forgot that direct quote, which I could just look around the room and see it. But
Something along those lines. Yeah.
And then spoiler for whoever hasn't played it, and if you haven't played it by now, you're not going to play it. And then it turns to a shooter. It turns to a shooter at the end. So that wasn't necessarily your weapon. Your weapon was really guns.
Yeah.
So I think that that's how they could take risks. They could just go, they could actually focus more on the hacking this time around. And yes, weapons will play a big part. You know, they could turn into something like one of you, a little more Metal Gear, but actually focus on the hacking. They could do so much with this. Like, the story itself is really cool, but they didn't go the extra mile. So what I want to see more of, I guess, focus more on the hacking. Again, a larger scale. There's a lot they could do with it. They could turn it any way around, but obviously we just care about story for this at this point, and for it not to just seem like every other game. I think that's my issue, because it did turn into a third-person shooter, and that became the game, and that's what I hated about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly my same thoughts. We played through it, we reviewed it as well. I think I got like a 3 out of 5. We're not using the 5 scale anymore, but I think at the time it was like a 3 out of 5, maybe even a 2 out of 5. I said right after it, I think it would have been best as a brawler, if anything. If you needed combat in that game, I think guns were not the way to go. I think that it would have been much cooler to see if, like, a little bit more like Yakuza, you know, something along those lines. It tried way too hard to be Grand Theft Auto.
And if anybody played the Bouncer,
The Bouncer. So I mean, it could have been something along those lines. Instead, we got a pretty bad GTA clone. Essentially,
Yes.
it felt like a GTA mod. And actually, people have done a GTA 4 mod that is Watch Dogs in GTA 4. So that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like they had a schematic of Grand Theft Auto and they just added what they consider to be hacking. It definitely was. It was like puzzles that harked back to like Ratchet and Clank. You know, about the same kind of depth. You know, it was like connect these dots like and in this amount of time. That was hacking in that game. And if not, it was just held back to hold square to hack. You know, that's not hacking. It's like you could just interact with any object. So if you haven't played it, I recommend you play it as a stealth game. That's the only thing that kind of gets any kind of kicks out of it. But it was just was too much of a clone. This game has to do more than take risk. I think it needs to be different. It needs to be completely different. And I'm hearing a lot of people say the same thing as the first Assassin's Creed wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. It was very interesting in concept, but it wasn't executed the right way. Assassin's Creed 2 is one of the greatest games just ever. So if they can do the same thing with the sequel, then we probably will have Watch Dogs 10 like we have with Assassin's Creed. So I think that's what they need to do. They need to go back to the drawing board and give us a brand new game. Now, moving on. Xbox, according to the NPD, Xbox won December. So they are the best-selling console December. And obviously a big part of that was due to the price drop that they had that was supposed to be taken back this January. Mm-hmm. But now, Microsoft doing another 180, they said, you know what, we're going to hang on to that price drop for a little bit. So now this makes Xbox the best-selling console of November and December, 2 months in a row. Very similar to what PS4 did very early on in its career, right? It won that November, December, and it took the rest of the year. I've said that 2015 is going to be the year of Xbox. What does the statistics mean for the future of Xbox?
Wow. Xbox again changing their mind? Again? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, obviously, people still want their consoles, and the thing with Xbox is that Xbox 360 won last generation. So there are still some fans that say, I want to stick with something I know, something that I know it's good.
Yeah.
You know, so PlayStation 4 was beating everybody, and it was pretty obvious why. And then now with this, I see it rising. I see the same people just saying, it's like, I've had this last console, I want to move forward with it. So that had a bigger base. Like, there's a lot of people there. And as for Sony, for some reason, it's been getting so many problems with internet connections, and obviously they can't email anybody, but that's something different.
Yeah.
But it keeps crashing. It keeps crashing, just over and over again. So I could see why people are headed towards Xbox. I could see just rising. We still need more games. Xbox doesn't have enough exclusives for them to actually stay at number one, especially with... well, there's actually a lot of games that PlayStation has right now.
Yeah.
So, but something that Xbox does very well is play with indie game developers. Like, there's been a lot more indie games, at least last generation. So if they keep doing that, I guess people will like them more. I really don't know what could happen, but for sure, I could see Xbox just steadily going up.
Now, a lot of people are I mean, I credit this mainly just to the price cut, because those are the 2 months that the price cut was in effect, and as we know, the cheaper console is going to be the best-selling console, at least for the first couple of years.
Yes.
Because people are waiting for those price drops, and I know a handful of people right now that I just talked to that are really holding out for a PS4. I literally had a text that someone said, if PS4 wants to come back up, they will have to price drop.
Yeah.
Does PlayStation need a price drop for the PS4?
I am still waiting for the PlayStation 4 Slim. You know, it's just that they keep doing Slims for all their versions, and I seem to like the Slims a little too much. What I'm really holding off for is that big game.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm holding off for. This is why I just take the console from here rather than actually have a console at home. Is because what I'm really waiting for is Final Fantasy 15 to release a bundle. And that's what I want. I want some Final Fantasy 15 PS4.
Yeah.
I'm sure that price drop will come up after that, but I already have the bigger version, which I'm okay with as long as it's the Final Fantasy one. But other than that, I will be waiting for a price drop.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that people, for the mass majority of people, they're not what we consider gamers. They're just, they're consumers, you know? The same thing with the smartphone kind of realm, that kind of stuff. They don't necessarily care about the specs. They don't necessarily care about the applications. They care about how much I'm going to pay to have this device. So I think it's the same thing here. If I was Sony, I wouldn't respond with the price drop just yet, because now Xbox realizes that the only way they will move consoles is with the price drop. And we don't know necessarily like how much they outsold PS4, because it could be like 2 consoles. It could be anywhere from 2. I'm expecting maybe to like maybe 50,000, maybe less. You know, so we don't necessarily know how big of a gap it is. But I don't think Sony is worried. I've always said that I think the only time that they will drop these big bombs like The Last Guardian, I know everyone's waiting on that, is when Xbox truly takes like a 20 million, leap of like sales or something. They probably will release the big guns. And yeah, as far as like just the price drop, I'd say hold back until probably next year would be the time to start seeing some price cuts. It's very early. But I think Microsoft just wants to get back into the ball game. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it is way too early for anything right
now. And the other problem, though, is that like you have this price cut. They're eating it on every console they sell now. You know, so I'm not really sure why they're doing that. It's a very expensive console to manufacture, so I don't know. Probably unless they have a slim model around the corner.
Yeah, because I forgot the Xbox 360 also had a slim model.
Yeah.
So I think that they're just trying to make any money back.
Yeah,
I think that they lost so much money making these consoles.
Yeah, and especially with the like 360s that they made with dropping the Kinect, having to change the CPU and GPU of the Xbox, and as I mentioned before, and also eating it because of Sony. I think they're scrambling for possibilities at this point. So going back to Sony for a second, Uncharted 4. I believe we talked about Uncharted 4 just the other day or something like that. We did, recently. Yeah, especially for the game preview that we did. We'll have that video up there pretty soon for you guys. Uncharted 4, obviously developed by Naughty Dog. One of the developers states that the game won't be 60 frames per second if it hinders the player's experience. And he refers to it as in having to take out a section of the game. Now, we don't really talk too much about resolution, at least on this channel, but this is one of those things where I just kind of want to put it to rest. Like, is 60 frames going to matter with Uncharted 4? I'll go first, in my opinion at least. I want 60 frames. And my main reason is because we know that there's, a lot of games can hit that bar. My problem with video games today, especially in this industry, is the fact that they try to create these massive open world games, like Assassin's Creed Unity, okay? Took me hours to get through that game because it's so massive. And just because it was more massive did not make it a better game.
Yeah.
If anything, it made it worse. I think that we have to go back to the drawing board and compress these games as much as possible because I want depth. That next gen is not how big can you make this island. That doesn't create a better experience. It's about how dense is that island going to be. So I think it's the same thing with Uncharted 4. It's like, I'm pretty sure if it's 16 chapters, we don't need at least 3 of those. At least 3 of those are going to be boring. As great as the Uncharted series is, I'm a massive fan. I think that you can warrant taking out 3 chapters to have a 60 frames per second game that's going to look beautiful and be that much more immersive.
Yeah, that happens a lot with any technology. Is they say, I want to do it this way, now let me show it off as much as possible. If you guys have noticed, a lot of games are actually becoming bigger and bigger. Yeah. I'm afraid that's going to happen with Arkham Knights as well.
Yeah.
They're just going to make it super huge. Like, Arkham Asylum was awesome. It was a small place. Arkham City got bigger. I don't want this to be worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just Gotham has become taken over the world or something. I don't want that. Obviously, we have, well, not obviously, but the little glimpses we saw of the new Legend of Zelda, it looks like they're going for the same thing. Yeah. It's like, see that corner over there? You could explore that. Mm-hmm. So that is becoming a problem. 60 frames per second. Do we need it? Okay, do we... I can't even say because I hate it in films. Yeah. So it's just... I guess you just have to see. I want there to be an option. I want it to be an option to just do regular or 60. And it just in the start of the game. It's like back then when we used to do like controller vibrate and that kind of stuff, like in Kingdom Hearts and stuff. Like I want it to just be an option. It would be nice to have like just have him running and you could actually see what 60 frames, what normal 60 looks like right next to each other. And you choose
it's hard to see it in today's game development. The parts where I see it best is I remember in Battlefield 4, that was one of the first PS4 games that we played. Mm-hmm. The water, the way it moved, actually looked about as natural as water can be in a video game because water obviously is never still. It is constantly moving. So the only way to capture that on a game is to boost it up as much as possible. So the water looked amazing. And The Last of Us, when I played The Last of Us, was also 1080p, 60 frames per second. The foliage and the way the trees moves is very different than we've ever seen before. So I guess again that helps. The main reason why I want it clocked in at 1080p, 60 frames per second is because it will force developers to create denser games. Mm-hmm. And we just talked about the game with Arkham, right? Arkham Asylum, in my opinion, is still the best of the franchise because it was so dense. Mm-hmm. It felt like a movie. Like every single corner you looked at, there was like a frame of Black Mask right there. I was sitting on the table. There was Great White's teeth sitting in a jar right there. You saw the tubes of Bane like in a vent somewhere. Yeah. It was dense and it was really small. And Arkham City kind of lost a little bit of that, like what made it unique because it was so massive.
Yeah. It took forever. To
very repetitive. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that from going forward, Sony will kind of force their developers to. They won't because they're a very generous kind of studio, but it would be interesting to see if that does happen.
But before moving forward with this, my favorite game is still Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
See, Final Fantasy VII, I like it because of the story. The story was interesting. So I think that should come secondary. That should come after the game. Yes, we should actually try to create the game as big as possible. Yes, it will cost a lot of money, but in the end, just play the game. You know, obviously test it out yourself, test it out throughout, send out a beta. Like this is the 60 frames per second beta. If people start hating it, the majority of people start hating it, then you just go to normal. And then they release another one, a 60 frames, I mean a regular frame beta, another beta or an alpha beta. And just test it out, see what's big right now. I know that they're trying to move up technology, but just this doesn't seem important right now. I think we just need good games.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed. Our fifth topic, the Order 1886. Usually I don't report on these because I never really consider them news necessarily. But I remember like a few weeks back we got word that Evolve went gold, right? Meaning that it's ready to ship. You can already print out the CDs and manufacture them and ship them if you wanted to. They're ready. They're done. That usually what developers then do is start working on the day one patch that all these games are going to need going forward. Be aware, before you buy these consoles, if you haven't already, every game you buy from now on most likely will have a day one patch or a day one or day week patch, whatever it's going to be. So the Order has gone gold. We've had an eye on the Order, like we mentioned in the preview, since February 2013. So we're going on a good 2 years now since the Order is actually going to be in our hands. We're going to have a walkthrough live stream of the whole nine, right? Are you so excited for the Order?
It's
as compared to like the first time you saw it in that first PS4 release compared to now.
Yeah, I haven't even been keeping up on it, so I still have that fresh memory of it being super dark, and so quite exciting. Yes, I am happy for it. Obviously, start pushing marketing right now, and that's about it. I will be playing it. I won't stand in the middle of the night trying to get it, but like the day of, like I would just be like, I'll go get it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it has potential as a new IP. When I first saw it, I know everyone was a little bit concerned because there's no multiplayer, there's no co-op. But I mean, it's a new IP. It doesn't mean that if it does well, we can see the Order 2, which I want to see. I want to see this as a whole new IP, new franchise, and eventually get like multiplayer co-op or something like that. That's what I want for this. I'm hoping that is good. Number 6, Borderlands Handsome Collection. We just watched the trailer the other day. Again, not necessarily news, but the thing here is that we're making a statement on a bigger issue, right? Remakes, HD remakes, remasters, all that kind of stuff. We're getting another one, Port Station 4. Now, the Borderlands Handsome Collection, as I mentioned, it comes with, if you haven't seen the trailer, it comes with Borderlands 2, which was released on PS3 and Xbox 360, and it's going to come with Borderlands pre-sequel. Not to be confused, which I kept confusing with the Tales from the Borderlands. I was really pissed. I was like, I don't want a $5 game in this, but no, this is pre-sequel. So this technically is the third Borderlands game.
Yeah. I'm actually excited for this, especially that trailer. That trailer
awesome.
Was so fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun trailer. That reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And this game is this massive thing. It's pretty. It's cool. It makes sense. I'm so for this.
So you're gonna get the $400 Claptrap edition.
I will not buy it. I'm not gonna use Claptrap ever. So it's just gonna be sitting there in a corner. Oh, here we go, and this shelves.
Collecting does. The trailer really was what sold me on it. Actually.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, Borderlands always had pretty good marketing videos and stuff. But fun fact, I never played any Borderlands games, and I always got a lot of backlash for that because people was like, "How can you not play Borderlands?" But the problem is that there's so many franchises to keep up with. Yeah. I'm just one person, so it's hard. I try my best, but because I don't like to play just like jump in at the second game. Like I want to play the whole series and know the whole franchise as a whole. So there's one franchise that I had to skip, unfortunately, but this is my chance, to get back. I was hoping that it'd come with Borderlands 1 and 2, but I guess the pre-sequel works. It's a prequel, I guess so. I guess that works in a sense. And I'm sure if this sells well, they'll probably do Borderlands 1 at some point.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. Also, $400 is pretty big. It's pretty steep.
That's ridiculous. It's a working Claptrap robot and stuff.
Which is cool, but...
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, if you're a big fan, that thing will probably sell at least one to somebody.
How much was that Call of Duty? I think it was Call of Duty that had the car, remote control car.
Don't remind me. It was like $200.
Oh, okay, so it was way cheaper.
Yeah. This is probably the most expensive collector's edition I've ever seen, just released in recent years. Number 7, Now, again, more developer comments from Evolve this time. We mentioned Evolve earlier. The developer has commented on community backlash for the DLC model because they just announced that the next monster that's available, if you pre-order the game, you get the fourth monster, which his name is what is it? Good luck. Behemoth.
Oh, Behemoth?
Yeah. You get the Behemoth, and if you don't pre-order the game, you'll have to wait down the line, and it'll be about like $15 for one monster. And now the community, of course, went on NeoGAF and read all that kind of stuff, and they're pretty much throwing a fit. Now, the developer has stated, okay, we're not scamming you guys, right? It's not a finished product yet. This actually is separate. But again, I'm concerned about the price, and most communities. So this whole DLC model that developers are creating, is it worth it? Like, are you going to put down $15 to play as a fourth monster that you think should be packaged into the game?
Okay, so here's my thing. For DLCs, it was such a huge problem for me in the beginning. I was just saying, it's like, I always believed that DLC was already in the game,
right,
but you're paying extra to unlock it. But there are some, because obviously you can see how big it is. Like, some of them are a couple of gigs big. You can see that you are downloading like a whole game. So the monsters, what's cool about this is that they're actually all different. So they all have their own different movements or different everythings. So, so it's not like a skin.
Right.
But $15 is a lot for one monster. Like, I understand they're packaged with monsters. Like, they release 4 monsters, or probably a monster and a couple of skins for the other ones, so it's certain colors, which would make no sense. Like, I get that. It's a whole DLC, like, stuff in it. Because even if you think back in Arkham City, you downloaded the Harley Quinn side story, anything like that, and that was pretty cheap. If I remember, it was like $7. It was something rather cheap.
Oh yeah, the Harley Quinn.
Yeah, little side story, and that was 2 hours of gameplay. That's
Robin.
A whole different character. Yeah, I forgot Robin was in it too. Well, Nightwing was in it. There was a battle thing. I forgot. It was a while ago. But if I remember, it wasn't that expensive. It wasn't expensive as 15. Like max, I
bought that one. Yeah, so I remember.
So this is really expensive for one monster. But I would do it. I think that's what they're taking advantage of. Is that I would do it if I really liked the game. Like, I did buy every single DLC, every single skin, even the pre-order skins. I had to buy it separately somehow. I'm not going to state how. But I did pay for it, though, so it wasn't illegal. But I did buy all the skins and everything to do with Devil May Cry. Then later on they made the package, and I was like, screwed.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle. The last 2 games that I really remember I bought every single DLC pack, so it probably was at least $20 as a whole, maybe more. One was Arkham City. Mm-hmm. I bought every single DLC. Catwoman DLC. Well, I think Catwoman DLC. Well, I think you got it for pre-order, but anyway, Catwoman DLC, the Harley Quinn DLC, and then there's 2 other challenge
costumes
packs. There was the other skin pack, which was 7 skins. Yeah, of course, I bought that just because I wanted Batman Beyond. But then the other one was Red Dead Redemption. Mm-hmm. That game is probably my top 3 favorite games of all time. Probably right behind the Zelda, Final Fantasy games like that. So it's been top 5, whatever. I bought every single DLC for that game. Okay, and each one was priced about $5 or something. I'm not really sure. I mean, if I'm infatuated with the game to the point where I'm a hardcore fan, I probably would buy it just for the kicks, right? Mm-hmm. But again, the problem with games today is that they're so massive and so unnecessarily big that it doesn't add anything to the experience. We just live stream all of Assassin's Creed Dead Kings, and I beat it in 5-6 hours, something like that. Then I got every trophy, right? I could have beat it probably in 2-3 hours. I wouldn't have bought that thing. I mean, we played it because it was free. Mm-hmm. And after playing it, I realized, that should have been free DLC because there's no... And they wanted to have that as a priced model. Mm-hmm. And again, it just shows them that today developers are... I'm not saying that maybe it's not expensive to create DLC. I'm not saying that it isn't warranting the money, but the problem is that it's not necessary.
Yeah.
So there's not... Unless you have a handful of fans that are massive hardcore fans, they will buy the extra $15 monster. I'm not going to. There's just no way. Evolve, although it looks to be one of the most interesting multiplayer games we'll have this year, mm-hmm. It definitely doesn't warrant $15 extra on top of that $60 price tag.
Was it confirmed that there's a campaign for that? Or is it only multiplayer?
No, from what I'm hearing, it's just that it's kind of like Titanfall-esque. Like there's campaign in there, some storyline, character dialogue, all that kind of stuff. But who knows? I mean, I don't know. That should have been DLC, maybe.
Yeah, because this does seem like that. So I guess that's how they're gonna make their money later on.
Right.
It's more and more DLC, like more monsters, different skins for humans.
$15 for 3 monsters is a great, I think, model. Yeah. But no one's gonna pay $15 for one monster. And the problem that really bugs people is that it's going back to like you have to pre-order the game or else you miss out on $15 of the content.
See, that one I get. Well, $15 is a lot. That's the problem here. But the pre-ordering the game or you have to wait, I get that. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but having to wait and then pay $15 is, I mean, I don't know, it's crazy. It sounds like it should be a $5 DLC to me, but you know, like I said, it should have been $15.
Oh, and like I was saying, is that's obviously how they're gonna make the money. So they're gonna keep releasing this. And if you're gonna pay $15 for every single monster, it's just that's too much.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, Evolve probably has to get that DLC model under control. So now, okay, we have two more quick topics. First one, I want to mention real quick. The other day was the Windows 10 reveal for Microsoft.
Yes.
The one really interesting, I mean, there's a couple of holograms that they're working on, whatever. That's kind of cool. I believe it's called DirectX or something on Windows. Xbox One cross compatibility with Windows 10. This is a pretty big step for them. We've already known for a long time now that Windows, which of course is a product of Microsoft, wants to connect all the platforms.
Yes.
We saw that starting with Xbox One because it has the same schematic as Windows 8, right? So they want a uniform OS for all the products. I love that concept. I know a lot of people hate it, but I love that concept because this is our platform. This is Windows that we're building our industry on. Their company on.
Yeah.
So we want to have it all connected, and I like having experience with Apple stuff, right? Where you have it on your phone and you can call someone and it'll show up on your laptop, right?
Yep.
Anyway, so now Windows 10 gamers will be able to play Xbox One games with Xbox One users.
Yes.
So now they're all connected. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
See, like going back to Evolve, that will work so well.
Yeah.
Going back to Titanfall, that will work so well.
Yeah,
see, it's so smart and it works. And this is how Xbox could win. It's just that is completely exclusive to Xbox. Because what are you going to do with Sony? What their laptops?
I'm starting to think as well that I don't know. This may be very early to call, but it could be that the Xbox 2 will be their last console.
Interesting.
It seems that they're really solidifying their computer gaming business. They want to get back in, because they're the ones who really started us off on computer gaming was Windows. That's where we played Doom, and that's where we played Unreal Tournament, all those kind of games.
Still known as the Master Race.
Yeah, or some people played on Linux or Wolfenstein, all those kind of games, whatever. But I don't know. I think that they're solidifying the fact that if their console continues to drop, they're going to drop it and scrap it completely and just go back to PC gaming business, which isn't a bad thing because, some people claim it's a master race, whatever. I prefer consoles, but we've played on PCs for a long time as well. So I think it's a good move for them.
Yeah, this crossplay thing, this is what
cool.
People were so scared of when it came to Apple.
Right.
Like, if Apple joined the gaming business, like, everything would just connect, and that would just be intense. So they're the ones who could do this. Such a smart idea, and it works, and it fits. It all fits.
Yeah, it does fit really well. Yeah, I think that PlayStation probably now at a disadvantage because they don't have a PC market behind them. I was thinking unless they partner with Apple.
Yeah.
And what if now Apple computers can play with PlayStation 4 gamers? So
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be an interesting idea. Although Sony makes their own computers, so we'll see. Now, final topic. Hoping that we can get through this quickly, but probably not because this is our franchise, Final Fantasy 15.
Yes.
I'm going to go through it really quickly because it's a very long interview. I'm just going to do the highlights. Now, in a recent interview with GameSpot, director Hajime Tabata was asked about Final Fantasy 15 and how the world is coming along. Now, he revealed that Final Fantasy 15 is set in one giant landmass.
Yeah.
Now, the entire world, right, is based on this one landmass. Let's just say it's a country or it's a continent, what have you. Quote, this is a fantasy based on reality. The towns and the cultural references that you see throughout the world, you'll get a sense of realistic towns and cultures. One area we showed was based on Havana, Cuba. The other one, the one with all the water that's surrounding that big kind of tower, is based on Venice.
Yeah.
So those are some cultural references that have been within the game. Now, before reading on to the interview, my first concern was, well, if this is one landmass and the preferred way to travel is with the car, does that mean no airships?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he mentioned the world is connected by continuous land. So therefore, to be completely honest, that's still to be determined. Mm-hmm. So they're still not sure. They said that if it's a challenge that they're willing to take on, and they're going to see if it can be done. But what are your thoughts on the fact that, one landmass, possibly no airship? Should there be an airship with this one landmass? Do you like the fact that 15 is set on just one landmass?
Okay, I'm used to traveling a lot when I play Final Fantasy. So, and boats were always a big part of it. I was always in the water, moving around, all stuff. But something that was always in Final Fantasy was airships. Okay, and that was quite a highlight. Like, I don't want to travel just throughout, but all the trailers we've seen for Final Fantasy 15, they all were them in a car.
Yeah.
Well, not always, but we always see them in a car. We always see them on a road trip. So I could see why he's doing this. He does state trains. He does state other stuff like that. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. It seems like it would be too big for me to just get in a car and then it's like, okay, I'm going to have to drive from here all the way over here, and it's going to take a long time just getting there. So I think that'll be annoying. I'm sure that eventually we'll do that, unless it'll be like a train and then it'll be like a cutscene.
Right.
Like,
I'm going to go ahead and say that I do not approve. I feel that airships have been part of Final Fantasy. I can't confirm if it's been in 1, but I know since 3 for sure. There's airships since Final Fantasy 3, most likely 2 as well. Airships are part of the DNA of Final Fantasy, particularly because again it was one of the first open world RPGs.
Yep.
And so this one again it's kind of strange that it's one landmass. So you're gonna get feeling that although it's very diverse, it's gonna be very connected, which is cool. But I don't want more cars and more games. I just played Far Cry 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, Saints Row. You name Watch Dogs. Okay, you can drive in all of these games, and the driving is never that great anyway. It's probably like I found myself really liking both Far Cry's driving and Grand Theft Auto 5. But there's too many driving, too many cars. I'm gonna say that I think that the reason why they're doing this is because I think they want to reach the Western market. I think that the Western market, although I know there's a ton of Final Fantasy 15 fans, they're trying to reach a mass audience, because if this Final Fantasy fails, we're not going to get to Final Fantasy 20. They're going to have to just scrap it, and Square Enix will probably be bought out by someone. I think they're at their limit right now. So I think that this is their last chance. So unfortunately, that's going to be the first dislike I have for 15, that no airships.
Yeah, and islands were always a big thing in Final Fantasy. Like secret stuff are
like finding weapons, like at the bottom of Emerald Weapon, I think, at the bottom of the sea and stuff, or Final Fantasy X, like having to travel to an island that was like way far off just to find Yojimba or one of these summons. That is Final Fantasy. It's finding these secrets in far off places. So, it'd be weird to see what happens with it.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 Knights of the Round was in this island.
Oh yeah,
you can't even get
so obscure, so obscure. Yeah. So pretty crazy. As you can see, the video game industry is really taking a shift for not really sure where, but off a cliff. Maybe I guess it's what they're trying to do. I'm not really sure.
Sounds nice.
But up until then, for all these big titles that are coming out this year in 2015, you're already in the right place. Goodbye, Delhi.